Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Innu, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Ian Mann. I am joined on the panel today with Ms. Kira Penner and Ms. Linda Schultz. The Assessment Department personnel appearing today will be Ryan Valderrama, and the administrative personnel is Mr. Zachary Mohan. For the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing is concluded, you may leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the applications of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence on an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today, and the session will close after all of the applications have been heard. The Board will then deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Today we will be hearing items 1 and 3 through 7 inclusive on the docket. Mr. Mohan, please affirm the assessor and first applicant's testimony.
Of course, Mr. Chair. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Ryan Valderrama.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Trevor Smith.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Thank you. The first matter on the docket today is street address 1002 Nairn Avenue. I've been advised that by Mr. Smith that he expects this to be a confirmation. So, Mr. Valderrama, I'd be asking you to introduce the property, the roll number, and give us an overview with respect to the evaluation so that we can deal with this matter expeditiously.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The first one has a file number of 24-4219 or 24-4219. It has a roll number of 14099947000. The property is located at 1002 Nairn Avenue. We're dealing with the roll year of 2025, using reference date of April 1st, 2023. The property is assessed at $1,510,000 with a classification of other and a liability of taxable. The basis of the assessment value is based on cost approach. The property is a funeral home with single story and 2 sections. It has an effective year built of 1990, a construction class of masonry bearing walls with an average wall height between 12 to 22 feet. The zoning is C3, and it has a land area of 65,267 square feet, a planned area of 10,102 square feet, and with no basement area. And that is the overview on my page 1 of my brief, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, have you any questions?
I have no questions.
Ms. Penner, have you any questions?
And no questions for me, thank you.
Ms. Schultz, questions?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr.
I
Chair.
may have preempted your submission a little bit, but
That's quite all right. Yes, in this matter, we're just looking to confirm the assessment.
thank you. Mr. Valderrama, do you have any questions?
I don't have questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz?
No question.
Ms. Benner?
No questions.
And I have no questions. I'm assuming there's no need for any summaries, so we will conclude this matter and move on to the next matter. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone. And Mr. Mohan, can you please swear in the next applicant?
Chair.
Confirm the next applicant.
Okay, Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Marcelo Navarro?
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you.
Mr. Valderrama, we are turning to number 3 on the docket, that being at street address of 357 Dismiron Street. Can you please present your brief and your evidence with respect to this property, please?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Morning, Marcelo.
Good.
The next property has a file number of 24-1722. It has a roll number of 06080470000. It is located at 357 Des Muren Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2025 with a reference date of April 1st, 2023. The assessed value for the property is $911,000. It is classified as other property and a liability of taxable. This property is a funeral home with 1 story, 1 section. It has an effective year built of 1975 with a construction class of masonry bearing walls with an average wall height of 11 feet. The zoning for this property is a C2. It has a land area of 19,896 square feet, a planned area of 6,518 square feet with a basement area of 4,866 square feet. It has a gross floor area of 11,384 square feet. On my next page is a cost valuation summary. It has a replacement cost new building for the building of about $1,439,924, an accrued depreciation for the building of about $1,237,924, and a depreciated cost for the building of about $202,000. It has a land value of $709,000 for a total of $911,000. This is valued under cost. And on the next page, page 3, it is the aerial photo of the subject property. And on page 4 is a building section, which describes the building. On page 5, I do have a land sale comparables. I have 4 comparables. The first one is located at 316 Des Muren Street. It was sold on March 4, 2021 for $60.24 per square foot. The next comparable is located at 165 Provencher Street or Provencher Boulevard, sorry. It was sold on September 5, 2018 for about $55.87 per square foot. The third one is located at 174 Provencher Boulevard. It was sold on June 4, 2018 for about $53.67 per square foot. And the last one is located at 373 Marion Street. It was sold on June 4, 2014 for about $30.10 per square foot. And on the next page, I do have the assessment for the subject land. It is assessed at 19,896 square feet for about $35.64, giving it a land value of $709,000. And on the next page is a summary for the building and the land valuation and its total. And on the starting page 8 is the 2025 cost report for the subject property. And On page 10 is just a cost index or cost multiplier from 2003 Marshall and Swift. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Mr. Navarro, have you any questions?
I have no questions.
Ms. Penner, have you any questions?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions. And Mr. Navarro?
I think we submitted in evidence that we were seeking a confirmation. So
Yes,
we're seeking-
I did see that.
Yeah, we're seeking a confirmation.
Okay, so seeking confirmation, Mr., and that's just for the record, seeking confirmation for the value of $911,000.
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Valderrama, do you have any questions with respect to that?
I have no questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Penner?
No questions. Thank you.
And I have no questions. Given the request for confirmation, I'm going to assume that no summary is required, and we will conclude that matter and move on to the next matter on the list. That being number 4, street address, I believe is 669 Broadway.
Mr. Chair, just before we start
Yes.
that, we will be seeking a confirmation on that property as well.
You will be, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I did not have that.
No, we made the decision after submitting that consent.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Deals with some of the questions I had anyway.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama. Did you hear that? Mr. Navarro has indicated he will be seeking confirmation on this property as well, but I would ask that you introduce the property, the roll number, give us a brief description of it, please, and a brief description of the valuation. For the
Yes,
purpose-
Mr. Chair. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Yes, I heard that, Mr. Chair, and I thank you, Mr. Navarro, for clarifying that one and giving us direction on that one. So the next one has a file number of 24-2574. It has a roll number of 12090568100. The property is located at 669 Broadway. So the assessment has a roll year of 2025 using the reference date of April 1st, 2023. The assessed value is $1,601,000. The property is classified as other with a liability of taxable. The property is a funeral home with 1 story and 1 section. It has an effective year built of 1930 with a masonry bearing walls and an average wall height of 12 feet. The zoning is C2 with a land area of 28,884 square feet. The plan area is 13,648 square feet with a basement area of 3,482 square feet and a gross floor area of 22,062 square feet. And that is the overview, Mr. Chair, for the subject property that we're dealing with at 669 Broadway. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Penner? Questions?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions, and Mr. Navarro, you had indicated that you were seeking confirmation of the value.
Confirmation.
I'm gonna assume there's no questions with
No.
respect to that. And no
No.
summary required, and so we will conclude this matter and move on to the next matter on the list, that being at number 5, street address of 455 Lajmodia. Mr. Valderrama, can you please give us your evidence with respect to this property and lead us through your brief?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next property has a file number of 24-1723-1723. It has a roll number of 06-002-247-100. It is located at 455 Lajimodier Boulevard. The property has two split assessments, Mr. Chair. The first one using the roll, both of these assessments are using the roll year of 2025 and reference date of April 1st, 2023. The first one has an assessed value of $2,039,000. It is classified as an other property with a liability of taxable. The second assessment has a assessed value of $234,000 with a classification of a farm property and a liability of taxable. The property is a cemetery with single story and 3 sections. It has an effective years built of 1993 to 1999. It has a construction class of wood or steel framed exterior walls. The average wall height is between 10 to 16 feet. The zoning is RR5 or Rural Residential 5 with a land area of 968,260 square feet. The planned area is 16,786 square feet with no basement areas. It has a gross floor area of 16,786 square feet. And on the next page is the subject properties photo. On the next page is the cost valuation summary. It has a replacement cost new for the building of about $3,144,167. It has an accrued depreciation of $1,501,167, thereby giving it a depreciated cost for the building of about $1,643,000. The depreciated cost for the detached structures has a total of $146,000. The total depreciated cost for all buildings and detached structures all sum up to $1,789,000. With a land valuation of $484,000, the total value is $2,273,000. On page 4 is the building sections, different building sections. And on page 5, I do have some land sale comparables. These are, I believe, all in the south. The first one is located at 45 Damon Farm Road. It was sold on August 5, 2021 for about $1.06 per square foot. The second one is located at 1644 St. Anne's Road. It was sold on October 11, 2016 for about 38 cents per square foot. The third comparable has no address. Its parcel ID is 309158450. It was sold on November 7th, 2017 for about $1.57 per square foot. And the last one is located on 2 Mile Road, which was sold on October 24th, 2017 for about 69 cents per square foot. On the next page is the subject properties detached structure details. And then on the next section of that page is the land valuation, giving it a 50 cents per square foot valuation for a total of $484,000. And on page 7 to page 9 is the 2025 cost report. And on page 10 is the cost multiplier, which is an excerpt from 2023 Marshall and Swift. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boldrum. Mr. Navarro, any questions?
I do have some questions. Thank you, sir. Mr. Valderrama, what is the reference date of the evaluation?
April 1st, 2023.
And what is the physical date of the valuation?
I don't understand that.
Valuation
question.
is the physical date of the valuation is January 1, 2025. Would it not be?
For assessment, for general reassessment, yes, it's January 1st, 2025.
Okay, so I note that you have an age of 30, and I went through the exercise of calculating that out. So that is actually 32 years from the date of the valuation, which is January 1, 2025. That is actually the physical date. Now, it should actually be 32. So did you count back from the reference date in terms of the age?
It's the physical age of the effective date and the valuation general reassessment 2025. So that's because there's an effective year built, which is 1993 and 1999. So basically, there must be something. It's averaging the 1993 and 1999, I believe, Mr. Chair, on that one. That's why it's giving a 32-year age life, if I'm not mistaken, or physical depreciation for that matter.
Okay, but I note on page 7 of your presentation that the first structure, which has an effective year built in 1993, actually only shows 30 years, not 32.
Page 7. Yes, it is 30, yes.
Okay, it is 30.
And this was calculated by the cost system that we're using.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
You, Ms. Schultz, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Penner?
I just had one quick question. I didn't see the rate that was selected, like the unit rate for the subject's land value.
I'll just, Mr. Chair, let me just go back to it. It's on page 6. And it's the second column and rows or table, the second table that says land valuation. It is 50 cents per square foot, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. That was all for me.
Thank you.
And I have no questions. Mr. Navarro, your evidence, please.
Okay. So this is 455 La Jumeauté Boulevard. You can see the value that we're seeking there. There is a split class on this property between farm and other. And the farm would be dedicated to the portion of, to a small portion of land. In terms of the authorized use of the report, this is strictly for the Board of Revision. Authorized users are there. Scope of the work is there on page 4. On page 5, you can see the assumptions and limiting conditions. On page 6, you can see the property site maps and photographs. Same on page 7, and a physical description of the property. There you see an undeveloped zone, rural residential, 5 acres is usable primarily for farming purposes, and we submit pursuant the MMA classification property, the previously identified 13 should be classified as code 30 farm property again. We already have farm classification there, so I don't think there's any. That might have been just an old paragraph that was there from the previous year's appeals that I simply didn't remove. But there's no real reason for that to be there because the classification split is already there.
Thank you.
The highest and best use is its current use. I will comment about this. With cemeteries, the highest and best use is one of those questions of there's a large gray area. We know that this property can't be improved in the future, so the highest and best use will always continue to be its use as a cemetery. I don't think that can change. So I will say that you know, I think that use will continue in perpetuity unless something drastic happens in the far future. In terms of the analysis, and this is one point that I want to stress, so for 2025, the realty assessment, the reference date is April 1, 2023. Now, April 1, 2023 notes the economic conditions of the time. So things relating to costs of materials, capitalization rates for income producing properties, vacancy, all of those things are economic parameters that we look at as of the reference date of April 1, 2023. The effective date of the valuation is January 1, 2025. And that does not match the physical condition of the property as of the reference date. Okay. That's the one sentence that I want to highlight. It does not match the physical condition of the property as of the reference date. The municipal act and subsequent decisions have interpreted it to mean the property is to be valued for assessment purposes based on its physical condition as of the effective date of the assessment, reflecting its market value or proportion thereof to reflect equity of assessment as between properties as of the reference date. The assessed value is estimated based on information which was known or which could reasonably have been known by diligent buyers and sellers in the period as of the reference date. So there's two things moving here. There is the economic issue, which relates to the reference date of April 1, 2023. And there is the date of the valuation, which essentially what the decisions of the municipal board are saying is that that is essentially the physical date of the property. Now, there is a distinction to be made between physical age and economic condition. So when we say that April 1, 2023 is the economic date, that's the reference date, we don't count back from that. We count back from the actual date of evaluation, which is January 1, 2025, that we interpret as the physical date. And there is a distinction to be made between economic and physical because, well, the age of a property is not a physical condition. Sorry, it is a physical condition. It's not an economic condition. And that's why we have an extra 2 years added to that. So we count back from the date, January 1, 2025, it gives us an extra 2 years on it. And I believe that accounts for the bulk of the differences in terms of the cost valuation of the property between the assessor and I. As you can see in the valuation, my land value is higher. We can go to the land sales, which are on page 11. And the average that we have from that set of comparables there is 52 cents. They range in size. So from that, we established a land value of 628,571 or 65 cents per square foot, which I believe is higher than the assessor's land value. In terms of the replacement costs new, we have a replacement cost new of 3,157,879, depreciation of 1,860,202, giving us a replacement cost new less depreciation of 1,297,677, to which we add the land value, and that gives us a rounded value of 1,926,248,000. Or sorry, not a rounded to 9,926,000.
1 million per house.
Hmm?
You said 9 million.
Oh,
You meant
1,927,000. On the next page over, you can see the summary. So we've split this up between the farm value and the other value, which is class 60. So for class 60, we have 1,676,000. And for farm, we have 251,000. That is what we are asking for in the appendix. You can see basically just our summary report. So I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Valderrama.
Just a quick clarification, Mr. Chair. This is with regard to the effective date and reference date comparison or difference that Mr. Navarro has brought up. So if we are using cost data, for example, the what do you call this? The actual cost, the replacement cost new as of April 1st, 2023, wouldn't it be prudent to compare it to the depreciation during that year, during that time? and not add 2 more years because for whatever reason. It just doesn't make sense, Mr. Chair, that we're comparing 2023 replacement cost new as against a depreciation of 2025. It doesn't it just doesn't make sense from a cost perspective, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to clarify that, Mr.
And
Chair.
that's a
Thank you.
determination that the board will have to make
Yeah.
during the course of our deliberation. But that might be as well a question that should be asked of Mr. Navarro with respect to the discrepancy between the economic age and the replacement cost new age as the effect at the appropriate times. So that may be a question that can be directed so Mr. Navarro can address it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Was there a question?
No, it's more of like, yeah, a clarification, because if we are using a replacement cost new based on April 1st, 2023, wouldn't it be prudent to use a depreciation factor based on April 1st, 2023? Because if we look at it, we're looking at the cost perspective here. We're not, we're dealing with 2025 January 1st reassessment. However, we're using all the valuation of as of April 1st, 2023, and even cost data wouldn't have reflected anything about or regarding January 1st, 2025.
Okay, well, I can explain how I believe the tables work. So I believe that when you undertake a cost valuation, you have a basic cost that is costed out based on the effective date that you put in there. So whatever effective date you put in there. Now, the other side of Marshall Swift, and we both use it, is that there are economic factors that are accounted for. And that allows an appraiser to actually stagger the dates of the valuation in terms of economic issues. So right now, I can take a valuation back on Marshall Swift right up to July of 2024. It doesn't allow me to move it any further than that. In terms of the economic side of it. So there are some adjustments that are market driven within Marshall Swift. And those would be related to the cost of materials, all of those things. But the physical date is simply the physical date. We view it as of the date of the valuation, which is January 1, 2025. Now, Marshall Swift allows a lot of adjustments in terms of that. So I don't see any issue with that. As long as the report date is still as of the reference date. And those are, in my opinion, the adjustments that the Marshall Swift tables will make at that time. So no, I don't agree with that. However, you know, I would pose a question to you that when you add a supplementary for a new building, as of, for example, added for January 1, 2025, how would you value that?
It's using all of economic data and information as of April 1st, 2023.
Okay. There's your answer, yeah.
Yep.
We have obviously a disagreement on that.
Mr. Boardroom, do you have any other questions?
No, I don't. That's just a clarification, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Ms. Penner, questions?
Yes, thank you. I just wondered, Mr. Applicant, if you can expand on the methodology used to come up with your depreciation, just looking at the difference between what the assessor is coming up with, what you are coming up with, which seems to be the main point of contention here. So it's, by my calculations, about 11% differential for 2 year
Yeah.
distance.
So the depreciation is based on an age life method. And it's just a straight line method. So yes, the difference essentially would be based on the additional 2 years. There's no additional obsolescence that has been applied to this, so it's just a straight line downward. And usually I'm not sure what the age life of this structure would be, what of these structures would be in their totality, but usually they're depreciating at about 1% per year. So as the buildings get older and older, there's quite a bit of depreciation on them, to the point that there's almost no value when you start getting close to the age life, to the end of the life of the building.
So you would have used, if your, I guess, what would you have used as the economic life on the building? Do you know?
It would have been the same as what the assessor is using. There would have been no adjustment on that. So we type these buildings out according to what they are. There's an occupancy code that we assign to each structure, and that life is kind of set in stone. So there would be no difference between the assessor and I in terms of that. I think we've elected to use the same occupancy codes for the most part.
And then just in terms of your, I think this might be sort of cycling back to what the assessor was asking. But in terms of your costing, so obviously Marshall and Swift doesn't have data going forward into the future. We can't really make guesses as at that, but for your effective date, for your cost value, it doesn't necessarily align with your depreciation date. Is that correct?
No, but I believe that actually Marshall Swift actually accounts for that additional 2 years in there in terms of the depreciation, because you can probably see a difference in terms of the depreciation that the assessor is using, although I can't
I guess where my mind is going is if the assessor is using a cost as of 2023, and then we're going forward to 2025, I'm guessing that cost would increase over time. I don't know if that's fair to say.
Yeah, and that's factored into the tables themselves. So just one note that we can't manipulate this in any way unless we apply additional obsolescence to the property, which we haven't done. So the tables are essentially making those adjustments on their own.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you for the clarification. That's all for me.
Thank you. Ms. Schultz, questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
I just have some questions for clarification as well as to the methodology you're using. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. My understanding is that you are using a replacement cost new as of the effective date of the reference, April 2023. And you're using a depreciation date as of the valuation date, for one of a better word, of January 1, 2025. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. And is your am I correct in that your answers to Ms. Penner's questions indicated that the tables that you are using for depreciation adjust for that discrepancy in replacement costs new and the additional 2 years of depreciation?
For sure, because you would be adding an additional 2 years of age to the property.
Okay, perhaps you could point that out to me in the tables, because I had a look at the tables and I don't see that. We might have to go to the assessor's brief for the for those tables. Because I don't think they're in your brief. I'm looking at page 10. of the assessment agreement.
Okay, so do we see the summary report?
What page you on?
That should be the first page after the appendix.
Oh, your first. Okay. So we're looking back to that. Yes. I've got it.
These are the tables.
And
And
your cost date shows as effective of April of 2023. It doesn't show the differentiation or the percentage effective or adjustment for the 2 years, last 3 months, 21 months up to January 1st, 2025. At least I'm looking at page 15 on your report, and it's the cost data by Marshall and Swift. It's the bottom.
Okay.
See where I'm looking on this? In your summary report, you've got the heading, unit percentage, exterior walls, cost, and at the bottom it says cost as of 04/2023, which I can only assume is April of 2023.
Yeah.
What I'm looking for is the not the variation, but
the effective age.
the coordination between the depreciation and the cost date. So that it's apples and apples, cost date and replacement costs new as of
Yeah,
X date and or
No.
that they're both on the same date.
the tables won't show that.
Okay,
What it will show is the effective age in years, which is 26 years. So if you see section 1, each one of them has an effective age on it.
right.
Okay, so 10 years for the first section, 26 years for the second section, 27 years for the third section, and so on and so on.
Mhm. Because I think as you indicated to Mr. Boardroom, there's no way to look into the future to see what additional costs or what costs may take place between, well, the date July 2024. I think you said these tables were effective until
Yeah,
to July or to January 2025.
well, that's where we distinguish between what is physical and what is economic.
Right.
So the physical age of the property, we say, is effective January 1, 2025. The economic conditions of the report are based on the reference date of April 1, 2023.
Okay.
So the tables themselves move in a way that adjusts for that. So they end up, what ends up happening is that they add an extra 2 years of depreciation there. And that accounts for the bulk of the difference between the assessor's valuation and ours.
I did the mathematical analysis to see where what the difference was and what it was likely to.
So on the next page over, you see the full summary of the property. And we can compare that to the assessors, okay? So if we look at the assessor's summary. So they have a replacement cost new of 3,301,378. And we have a replacement cost new of 3,157,879. So we're fairly close there. That's the difference.
Yes.
Is the additional 2 years added on.
Right.
Yeah.
The economic age, is the economic age affected by renovations, upkeep, maintenance, or is that not taken into account? And the reason, or one of the.
It would have to be fairly significant.
Okay,
For most properties, generally, a lot of these buildings range in terms of age from 1993 to 1999 in terms of effective age. So I'm not sure what they would be doing that would improve the condition of them, other than routine maintenance.
okay,
You would, if you incurred a huge capital expense to completely redo some of the buildings, then maybe, but you know, some of the buildings themselves just hold bodies. So your
Depreciation comes from a
yeah,
different perspective when you're talking about decomposition.
yeah, so I'm not sure what additional you know, capital costs you would need to put into a property like that.
And how is that reflected in the economic age in the tables, of the Marshall tables?
Well, first of all, we don't, I mean, the economic age is just the economic date.
Sorry, the, okay.
Yeah, there, we don't even,
Right.
I think,
Sorry, I misspoke. The effective age, or for want of a better word, the effective age.
yeah.
How is that reflected in the tables if there's been these major renovations or been any kind of renovations, or is it? Or is it just straight line depreciation?
Straight line depreciation, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't think either party is really questioning what's, you know, whether this property has undergone, you know, major renovations. I don't think it has.
no, some of these questions are just things that occurred to me
Yeah.
last night when I was looking at.
If we were looking at a property, for example, and just to maybe go in that area. For example, if we were valuing an institutional property on cost, and we tend not to value properties on cost to begin with, right? Income approach is what
Right.
you see generally. So we see a property that's valued on cost. I mean, we have to have a sense of whether there were any major renovations done to the property at some point. Whether any buildings were removed, or in general, whether any of the improvements were improved. That has to be noted. So I recently had a property where I went through a valuation like that, where I had to adjust the age of the property. Based on all of the renovations that were done over the life cycle of the property. And these were not just typical repair and maintenance. This was periods of capital repair that were done over the decades of this property. Now, this property was originally built in 1905. And I took it from 1905 to 1968 as an effective age, recognizing all of those periods of capital repairs that were done to this property. Going even into the future, like the most recent ones were done in 2024. And that had to be accounted for in the physical age of the property. So when we aged the property, we took it from January 1, 2025, and came up with a value in between. Basically, the basement was 1905. The top of the scale was 2025. And there we adjusted the age based on those renovations and came to 1968.
Which then gets you to the table that starts the straight line depreciation.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. That clarifies a little bit. Thank you very much. I don't have anything further. Mr. Balderrama, any summary?
Yeah, just wanted to comment, further comment on the methodology. It is basically consistency in methodology that we're trying to employ here in coming up with a 2025 assessment. We use costs that are as of April 1st, 2023. Naturally, we'll use available data that's as of April 1st, 2023, including depreciation tables. And Marshall and Swift that we have, we reference, that we keep referencing, even the applicant is referencing as well. We use that, and we use tables as of April 1st, 2023 in order to be consistent with our assessment. And while we do agree that the assessment is based on or effective January 1st, 2025, the reference date is April 1st, 2023, which all of the cost manuals, all of the depreciation tables, all of the cost index or indices or multipliers, we are all using as of April 1st, 2023. And I do believe that we have to compare apples to apples. We have to use consistent methodology in how we're employing valuation here, Mr. Chair. And I think that's my summation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro, summary?
Yeah, simple. There's a difference between the economic parameters which are relating to the reference date versus the physical age of the property, which relates to the physical date of the assessment, which is January 1, 2025. So that's the subtle difference.
Thank you. Having heard the evidence, we will conclude this matter and move on to the next matter on the list. That being at number 61501 Waverly Street.
Oh,
We are seeking.
You're seeking confirmation on this matter too. That was going to be my next question. Okay, Mr. Valderrama, then would you, having heard that confirmation will be requested by Mr. Navarro, can you please introduce the property, the roll number, file number, and give us a brief overview for the valuation purposes?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. The next one has a file number of 24-2575. The property has a roll number of 03066287600. The property is located at 1501-1501 Waverly Street. We're dealing with the roll year of 2025 using reference date of April 1st, 2023. The assessed value is $660,000 with a classification of other property and a liability of taxable. The property type is a cemetery and it has 1 story and 3 sections. It has effective years built of 1968 and 1990. It has a construction class of wood or steel framed exterior walls with an average wall height of 11 to 13 feet. The zoning is M2. It has a land area of 426,801 square feet with a planned area of 15,883 square feet. And that is the overview of the subject property based on my page 1 of my brief, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. I'm assuming you don't have any questions.
No, no question.
Ms. Penner, any questions?
No questions for me, thank you.
Ms. Schultz?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, and I don't have any questions. Mr. Navarro, it's for the purposes of the record, you are requesting a confirmation with respect to the valuation of $660,000 on this?
Correct.
Thank you. I'm assuming again, no questions. Mr. Valderrama,
No questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz,
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Penner?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions. I'm not going to ask either party if they have a summary on this. We will conclude this matter and move on to the last matter on the list. That is a street address of 4,000 Portage Avenue. Mr. Valderrama, can you please provide your
Just a
evidence?
quick clarification. Yeah, for sure. With this one, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to clarify, I did not get a brief or an evidence on this one. Just wanted to
I
clarify.
have a copy of it. Yes, I received a copy of it. I know got notes on it. So can you send it off to for sure, Mr. Chair, Mr. Valderrama, please? Once you get it, Mr. Valderrama, will you need a few minutes to look at it? So we can take a short recess if you'd like.
Should be fine. I'll just go through it as the applicant goes through it later on.
Okay, if that if you're sure, let us know please when you've got it and
For sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, just left my inbox, Mr. Assessor, so it should be a couple moments and it'll come to you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, when you're ready, if you can provide your evidence, introduction to the property, with respect to the address, street address of 4,000 Portage Avenue, Mr. Balderrama.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the next property has a file number of 24-1724. It has a roll number of 07-569-028-700. The property is located at 4,000 Portage Avenue. And we're dealing with the roll year of 2025 using reference date of April 1st, 2023. The assessed value is $5,487,000. It is classified as an other property with the liability of taxable. The property is a cemetery with single story with 8 sections. The effective years built is between 1957 to 2018. The construction class is wood or steel framed exterior walls with an average wall height between 10 feet to 9 feet. The zoning is agricultural. It has a land area of 2,639,800 square feet. It has a planned area of 50,681 square feet, a basement area of 5,253 square feet, and a gross floor area of 55,934 square feet. On my next page is the photo of the subject property. And on the third page, I do have the cost valuation summary. The replacement cost new of the building is 7,541,292 square feet. It has an accrued depreciation of 3,455,292 square feet, or sorry, dollars. And the depreciated cost of the buildings all come up to $4,086,000. The depreciated cost of the detached structures all amount to $81,000. And the total depreciated cost of building and detached structures all amount to $4,167,000. Adding in the land value of $1,320,000, the total value is $5,487,000 based on cost methodology. Page 4 are the different cost summary for the different building sections. On page 5 are some of the land sale comparables. The first one is located on McPhillips Street, which sold on June 24, 2019 for about 71 cents per square foot. The second one is located at 1055 Pipeline Road. It was sold for 47 cents per square foot and sold on October 10th, 2018. The third one is located on 2 Mile Road. It was sold on February 2nd, 2023 for about 82 cents per square foot. And the last one is located at 150 Division Avenue. It was sold on November 2nd, 2017 for about 92 cents per square foot. The next page, on page 6, are some of the details of the detached structures, which amounted to $81,000 depreciated. And in the next section, it has the land valuation. The net area or the assessed area is 2,639,800 square feet with a rate of 50 cents per square foot, giving it a land valuation of $1,320,000. And on the next page, page 7, going to page 11 is the 2025 cost report for the subject property. And then on page 12 is the cost multiplier, which is an excerpt from 2023 Marshall and Swift. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, questions?
Yeah, Mr. Valderrama, how many buildings in total are there?
Right now on my record here, there are 5 based on page 4. That's the summary basically on page 4. So, oh, sorry, there's 8. There's 8, sorry.
Okay, okay.
I missed on the bottom part. So, yeah.
I do have a question, and this could affect the trajectory of this specific appeal. Mr. Valderrama, were you aware that a building was knocked down on this property, demolished?
I haven't checked. I didn't inspect the property, Mr. Chair, on any
Okay.
time the past few years.
Would it affect this if I, said that there was a funeral chapel that was demolished?
Well, it would definitely affect the valuation and the assessment of the property, Mr. Chair, with regard to that.
Would there
If
be a
the-
need to issue a supplementary assessment?
Basically, it all depends on the nature. If it was done, there could be a supplementary assessment. It depends on the date that it was fully demolished,
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
okay. Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Schultz, questions?
No questions at this time, thank you.
Mr. Penner, sorry, Ms. Penner, questions?
No
Sorry.
problem. It's all good. No questions for me. Thank you.
I'm looking at page 4, Mr. Valderrama. These are the building descriptions: funeral chapel and lounge, chapel, crematorium office, shop and storage. And they all have a table with respect to the plan area, the replacement cost new, and the overall depreciation rate. That is the summary of the 8 buildings that are on the property.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Then I'm going to keep this bookmark so that when Mr. Navarro makes his presentation, I'll know which building we're talking about potentially. I don't have anything further. Thank you, Mr. Navarro.
Okay, so I think it would be prudent to go to what I'm talking about. So if you will, please go to page 20 of the brief. Okay.
Show on there.
Yeah, okay, so at the very bottom, 4,000 Portage, demolish. Old funeral home building, okay? The permit was issued on 2020-09-25. On the next page over, you can see the overhead picture that was taken May 2021, showing the former condition, the former pad where the old funeral home was.
That's in the center of the.
Yeah, so you see just a pad there.
Right.
There used to be a building on top of that. And that is the building number 1 on the assessor's summary report. So I guess my question to the assessor is that I'm going to ask for confirmation, because I think the assessor needs to look at this property more carefully, inspect it, confirm that that building was torn down, which it was. I was there. And then issue a supplementary as far back as you can go at this point. I think that would be the fair thing to do at this point. So I will ask for a confirmation.
Okay, Mr. Valderrama? Questions?
Just to clarify, as far back as we can, meaning as the law allows us to, right? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask you to take it back to
No.
2020. I know how the legislation works.
Thank you for that.
Marcelo knows the process, so yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no other questions.
Ms. Penner, questions?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Ms. Schultz, questions?
No questions, thank you.
And I don't have any questions. Any need for a summary? Mr. Navarro?
Nope, not for me.
Mr. Valderrama?
I have none, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Then we will conclude that matter, and having heard all of the matters on the dock today, we will adjourn this hearing. Thank you very much for your presentations.
Thank you.
Mr. Valderrama, Mr. Navarro.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
You
Thank
too, bye.
Thanks, bye.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you all.